Number 10. Cash to Dubai. A British woman was caught smuggling millions of dollars of cash to the country of Dubai. Before I say why somebody would do this, let's first take a look at our criminal. Her name is Tara Hanlon from Leeds. She was caught with £9 million hidden in 5 suitcases while trying to move through London's Heathrow Airport. She was detained by the airport authorities, who then discovered this was her 4th smuggling trip. They had missed her the first 3 times and can only guess at how much cash she managed to get out of the country. This was supposed to be her final trip in October of 2020, after completing her other 3 smuggling jobs in the summer. Because she didn't want to make any more trips, she decided to go a bit overboard with the cash and bring as much as she could humanly carry. This was ultimately what got her busted. When asked what the purpose of her visit was, she said it was a girls' trip. She said the 5 suitcases were because she didn't know what to wear while in Dubai. This was incredibly suspicious, so the border officers searched her stuff and found the money. Then they searched her phone and got the full story. This was not Tara's money, but rather money being laundered by an international criminal organization. Investigators believe she was only one moving piece in a much larger network of couriers traveling frequently between Britain and Dubai with massive cash bundles. For her to bring all that money, she only got paid about $3,000 by her criminal employer. Number 9. Meth at the airport. On October 11, 2017, a man named David Arredondo was indicted by a grand jury on charges of conspiracy to import methamphetamine. He was busted trying to smuggle a shocking amount of meth across an international bridge. It was like something out of an episode of Breaking Bad. David showed up at the Juarez Lincoln International Bridge in his 2009 GMC Sierra. As he was approaching the Customs and Border Protection inspection area, the Border Patrol agents noticed that there were weird sounds coming from his wheels. Wanting to be thorough, they pulled out the X machine and looked inside. Inside, they discovered 32 packages in hidden compartments in his wheels. These 32 packages contained a total of 126 pounds of pure methamphetamine. For those who don't buy meth by the pound, this is worth roughly $2.5 million on the street. Somebody somewhere lost a lot of money. When questioned by Homeland Security agents, David eventually admitted to visiting a tire shop while in Mexico. He said he had his tires and rims changed. He said that must have been when the sneaky criminals stuffed the meth into his vehicle. He claims he had nothing to do with it. He says he didn't even notice the weird noises his tires were making. He can deny it all he wants, but if convicted on the smuggling charges, David will probably go to jail for the rest of his life. Number 8. The Bad Olympian. Nathan Bagley was the Olympic kayaker from Australia who got busted smuggling over $150 million worth of cocaine. It was actually Nathan and his brother Drew who participated in the smuggling operation together, and they were both arrested in 2018. They were caught by authorities after a dramatic police chase on the water involving both the Australian Navy and Air Force. Nathan purchased the boat to be used in the smuggling operation. Then his brother and another man named Anthony traveled 11 hours in June to meet a foreign ship loaded with drugs. What they didn't realize was that they had been spotted by surveillance planes and were followed. Footage captured Drew Bagley tossing massive packages of cocaine overboard, while Anthony tried to steer the boat away from the cops. Long story short, it didn't work. When questioned, Drew said he thought he was picking up tobacco and that he had actually been kidnapped by Anthony. Anthony, on the other hand, gave up both Bagley brothers and managed to get himself a reduced sentence for importing cocaine. Nathan, a double silver medalist at the Athens Olympics, was involved with the plan in that he purchased the boat and outfitted it for smuggling. He was given 25 years in jail. Plus, this wasn't the first time the brothers had been busted on drug-related offenses. In 2009, both of them got caught trying to start a drug manufacturing group, producing hallucinogenic tablets to be sold on the street. Number 7. The Russian Smuggler. Paul Whelan was arrested in Russia on December 28, 2018, for allegedly being a spy. Paul was a US citizen, but also held citizenship in Canada, the United Kingdom, and Ireland. He was given a prison sentence of 16 years in 2020, but not before the Russians offered to give him back to the US in exchange for a Russian prisoner being held in America, Konstantin Yuroshenko. Konstantin served 3 years in the Russian military, worked at a Soviet factory, and struggled to make money in the years following the collapse of the Soviet Union. The little money he could make was on the flight crews in Africa or driving a taxi at home. In 2010, a transportation job came his way that would pay big bucks. He met his contact in March of 2010, a man calling himself Nabil Hage. Konstantin was given the option to make millions of dollars if he would simply transport huge amounts of cocaine from South America to Liberia. That's in North Africa. The drugs would then spread from Liberia into other parts of Africa, up into Europe, and some into the United States. What the Russian smuggler didn't know at the time was that he was talking to 2 confidential sources working with the Drug Enforcement Administration, or the DEA. 2 months later, Konstantin moved to smuggle tons of cocaine from Venezuela to Africa. But before he ever could, the DEA came crashing down and arrested everyone involved. The issue for Konstantin was that he got in on the operation at the very end of a long and grueling investigation by the DEA. He basically walked through the door on the last day of the operations and got 20 years in an American jail for smuggling. This is despite the fact he didn't technically ship any cocaine from anywhere. He'd only agreed to do it. The Russians had been trying to get him back for ages. After they arrested the alleged spy Paul Whelan, they tried to trade him for Konstantin. But of course, the US doesn't trade prisoners. Do you think the US should trade Russian-held prisoners for Americans being held in Russian prisons? Let us know your thoughts on this complicated topic in the comments below. And don't forget to hit subscribe before the end of the video. Number 6. Cocaine shoes. On May 2nd, 2021, a woman was arrested in Atlanta after returning from a trip to Jamaica. She was caught red-handed at the Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, smuggling $40,000 worth of cocaine in her shoes. Not the shoes she was wearing, but 7 pairs of shoes she had in her luggage. When the US Customs and Border Protection officers started poking through her belongings, they noticed there was something off about the shoes. The shoes peeled open to reveal a white, powdery substance concealed in the bottoms. The substance was tested and came back positive for cocaine. The suspect, an unidentified woman from Georgia who was only 21 years old, was sent to the Clayton County Police Department. Number 5. Homemade submarine. A man from Colombia had been blasted for the 2nd time trying to smuggle drugs across international borders. What makes this case truly special is that the smuggler was using a homemade submarine. A submarine he made by himself specifically to smuggle cocaine from South America into the United States. The smuggler's name is Jose Rosario Seguera Balantierra. He was captured by the United States Coast Guard near the border of Mexico in August of 2020. When the Coast Guards entered this submersible vessel, a rough metal tube painted green, they found 4,400 pounds of cocaine. When sold on the street, that turns out to be a profit of about $35 million. But the truly shocking part is that this wasn't the first time Jose had gotten in trouble for using a submarine for smuggling. He got caught in 2019 as well, but managed to get himself back to Colombia and fashion himself a new submarine. Alas, his 2nd attempt was an even bigger failure. He has since been sentenced to 16 years in prison, where there's just no way he'll be able to make himself a 3rd submarine. Number 4. Migrants in coffins. A man from Galveston, Texas, was busted smuggling migrants into the country. This kind of thing happens all the time, but this case was unique. Zachary Taylor Blood thought that a little bit of patriotism might help him get away with the smuggling. On October 26, 2021, he drove a modified van for transporting caskets to the border checkpoint near Falfurrias. The border security agents asked what he was transporting, and he replied, "A dead Navy guy." But the border agents weren't buying it. The coffin was in terrible condition, and the American flag had been fixed to the top with cheap packing tape. When the border agents opened the coffin to see what was inside, they found a pair of Mexicans. The Mexican nationals admitted to paying the smuggler to get them to San Antonio. For his participation in the human smuggling, Zachary Blood is facing 5 years in a federal prison. Number 3. Live finches. Francis Gurahu was caught in 2019 trying to smuggle live finches through the JFK airport in New York. Yes, he was literally smuggling birds, tiny finches that he was planning to sell for $3,000 each. 39-year-old Francis had 3 dozen of them, still alive, fresh from Africa. He'd picked the finches up on a trip to Guyana and then stuffed them in his carry-on luggage on the return flight to New York. Each finch was hidden inside of a plastic hair curler. It would be like if somebody tied you up with rope and shoved you into a plastic tube, then stuffed you in a dark potato sack. For these birds, it was absolutely horrible. They went from flying around free and wild to being jammed in plastic hair curlers by a very mean man. But here's where things get even weirder. Francis was trying to sell the finches to people in New York who used them in competitions. Finches are highly valuable birds in New York as they participate in singing contests. People have their prized finches sing, while others place bets on which bird will have the best voice. It's a really bizarre underground thing, like cockfighting, but even weirder. With a total of 32 live finches, Francis was hoping to make over $100,000. Instead, he was charged with unlawful wildlife smuggling. His birds were taken away and will hopefully end up being taken care of in a bird sanctuary somewhere. Number 2. Death in Vietnam. A Nigerian football player named Theophilus Ugwu was sentenced to death on Tuesday, May 25, 2021. As you may already know, some countries have much harsher sentences when it comes to drug smuggling than others. The football player, a young man of just 23 years old, was busted trafficking methamphetamine from Cambodia into Vietnam in March of 2020. He had 12 bags filled to the brim with crystal meth, enough for Vietnamese authorities to deem his life forfeit. But the story of Theophilus is actually pretty tragic. He first arrived in Cambodia in February of 2020 to play soccer. He met some fellow Africans who said they could help him make a bit of extra cash to deliver a package from the capital city Phnom Penh to Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam would earn him $1,000. That is a significant amount of money in Cambodia and can keep a person going for months. He accepted the deal, went across the border, and was caught immediately. He claimed he didn't know the package had drugs in it, but that didn't fly. He's due to be executed any day now. Number 1. Smuggling on Instagram. A Canadian woman who posted about a drug smuggling trip on Instagram just spent 4.5 years in prison. She was one of 2 Canadian women documenting their luxurious cruise trip to Australia via Instagram when they got caught with $23 million worth of cocaine. According to what Crown Prosecutor Tom Muir said during her sentencing, Melina Roberge knew exactly what she was doing when it came to smuggling drugs. She was doing it to support her lavish lifestyle. She enjoyed living a life of luxury, and that was what smuggling was all about to her. She broke down and cried in the courtroom, but only because she got caught. At just 24 years old, Melina was hauled off to jail as an international criminal. The case blew up in 2016 when Melina and her 2 accomplices docked in Sydney and were busted by the police. No amount of happy Instagram photos could cover up what they were doing. You see, they had tried to disguise their trip by posting vacation photos, when the reality was much different. When the ship stopped in Peru, Melanie and 2 other Canadian women picked up a massive load of cocaine to take to Australia. But when they docked in Sydney, a sniffer dog found the drugs in their cabin, and it was game over. On May 29, 2021, Melina finished her Australian prison term and was deported back to Canada. She's hoping to keep a low profile from now on and stay away from drug smuggling. What do you think pushes seemingly ordinary people into drug smuggling? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and thanks for watching. Come back soon for more, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the newest videos. See you next time. Bye!